You're my sweetest addiction, you're my strongest inspiration, and I love you.
Well, good evening and a very warm welcome to those who have joined us. A special welcome to our speakers, Lisa Allman-Baldwin, Maria Delores, Kay Suthar, myself as your host, Carol Edmondson, and exceptionally warm welcome also to Virginia, Maz, it's been a while. Thank you for joining us this evening. And Michelle, wonderful to have you join us. So let's get started. So I am Carol Edmondson and I'm a volunteer host with Kashulya UK. And Kashulya UK is a not-for-profit community interest company. The founder and CEO is Ritu Sharma, who is unable to be with us this evening. And it's a registered not-for-profit community organization to empower and uplift women. Growing organically, the aim of the organization is to empower women, connect communities, raise awareness of issues that affect women, with the unique, and I say unique, objective of Kashulya UK, not just to support those who are in dire need, but also to support women who are on a journey to create a life of fulfillment through their personal, professional, and financial growth. So the projects include personal and professional development, health and well-being, domestic awareness and support for victims. We have, as Kashulya UK, a social media presence, which includes a WhatsApp group, a Facebook page, and also a YouTube channel where the recording of this evening's event will be uploaded to. And may I ask all those before we start, and I can see you're all muted almost, if you could mute, and there will be an opportunity to ask questions of our esteemed speakers. Once all four speakers have actually spoken, I will open up the floor for Q&A. So this will be your opportunity to interact with the speakers. Welcome, Sharon. So our first speaker this evening, and I'll give a brief introduction to her, is Kay Suthar, joining us from the UK. So let me go to Kay, who was due to speak later on, but here we are. So you will want to embark on a journey with Kay, a multifaceted individual who wears the hats of a podcast host, speaker, award-winning author, and a podcasting meets AI expert, renowned for turning podcasts into profitable ventures using cutting-edge AI-enhanced tools. Kay is also passionate about building communities and gamifying experiences. Areas of expertise includes Kay delving into captivating discussions around AI, NFT, I've got some of those, Kay, Web3, podcasting, decentralized communities, making her a pivotal voice in the ever-evolving digital landscape. Do you know, I wish, and I thought she was going to be joining us tonight, Christine Emmanuel. She runs Bitqueens, giving us education on tokenization, blockchain, etc., etc. Be great for you two to connect. Kay is the go-to strategic partner for coaches, authors, speakers, podcasters, and thought leaders looking to elevate their brand and message. Collaborating with Kay means gaining access to the most effective done-for-you podcast development. And this not only saves time, but also builds brand loyalty and enhances credibility as an expert in your niche. So Kay, without further ado, I am so looking forward to what you'll be sharing with us. I turn the floor.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Guys, just to let you know, everything has shifted on my calendar. I'm in a football stadium right now making this happen, right? I promised I was going to be here. I'm going to make it happen. I'm doing all of this on my phone. I had an awesome presentation built out and created, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's not going to happen now. I don't have my laptop, got my phone. We're just going to make it work right now, right? And in business, that's what you got to do. You got to adapt. Things happen, life happens, and you just got to adapt. And so, first of all, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Kay Suthar, as Carol already mentioned. And I live in London, UK, was raised and brought up in London, UK. And like Carol said, I am an award-winning author, but one thing that I don't mention to people, because I like to make it a surprise, is that I actually got a letter from the Queen of England who congratulated me on my book and have a copy of my book in the private royal library. And this is the late Queen, right? This was a few years ago. And I've also helped many business owners reach the 7 figures. I have started my business from scratch, and built it and scaled it. But it didn't come easy, right? It did not happen overnight. I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up, right? And because of that, I went from job to job to job to job. I did voiceovers for children's books. I was an MMA fighter. I worked in retail. I did hairdressing. And believe it or not, I was even recruited as a police officer and did that for over 6 years, right? And then decided, wouldn't it be a good idea if I went into events? Right? People are like, you're mad, you're insane, no one's going to hire you. You don't have no qualifications, you've got no experience in this. And then guess what? I was hired to do events. So you just never know what's around the corner. You got to put the intention out and it can just happen. But anyway, since then, I am now the CEO and founder of Make Your Mark podcast agency. And when I first started getting into podcasting, I had no idea what I was doing. And I had to strategize and figure it out and use different tactics. And I found that I got booked on 100 podcasts in 60 days, right? Which all of a sudden, the trajectory of my business skyrocketed because people are like, how are you doing this? How are you everywhere? What's going on here? What's your secret? And that's when I realized, wow, loads of people need to know how to do this and do this the right way because it has a huge effect on you and your business. And so this is what I do for a lot of business owners. I help them get booked on podcasts as well as launch their own podcast as well, right? And it's a whole ecosystem that we build around it. But like Carol said earlier, we also turbocharge it and implement AI, right? You may have heard of that little thing called AI, right? Some people have been talking about it recently, but it just changes the dynamics of everything that you do. And so again, this is what we actually teach people and coach. But we don't only just do that. We actually do it ourselves. Like we have a podcast called Make Your Mark Podcast, where we talk about AI, business strategies, podcasting. And so we teach people, but we're also doing it too. And so this is something I want to go into a little bit more as guest podcasting, right, as a starter. But before we do that, there's some information out there in the podcasting world that you must know, right? First of all, you're probably thinking, I don't know if podcasting or even guessing on podcasts is for me. Like I have a unique program, I have a unique course or a product that you have. You don't think it's going to be for you. Okay, when people say this to me and people have asked me this, I say to them, you got to either have one of 3 things, and that is a product that you're selling, a program that you're selling, or something you want to bring awareness to. Right? And it might be all 3 of them, right? Or a couple of them. As long as you have one of those things, right? You most definitely need to start getting booked on podcasts as a guest. Okay. Now, podcasting has also evolved. It's not audio only anymore, right? It's video and it's live stream, which means people are going to see your face. You can't be scared of having your face on the screen. This is the best way to build know, like, and trust. And also, when you are doing video, it gives you the opportunity to be out there a lot more. This is what I was doing, right? I was doing the ones where it was video recorded, not just audio, because guess what? when hosts promote their episodes, and they promote every single one of their episodes, they're going to start making clips and putting it on social media, right? They'll most likely have an email list and be promoting it to their email list, right? They'll put it on YouTube, because right now YouTube is huge on podcasting. Not only can you put the videos on there as a normal upload video, but they also have their own podcasting division, right? YouTube Music. And so they can listen to it over there as well. So that means you're going to be everywhere. And guess what? All you had to do was show up and just talk about what you love. Okay? The podcast host is the one that does all the work for you. Right? You just have to show up. And so some people are saying to me, but the lives, should I really do the lives? What if something goes wrong? Oh my goodness, I'm counting on it. The reason why is this. I remember the first time I did a live. I was super excited. It was live streamed on every single social media platform. It was amazing. And you can see these interactions coming live on screen. And people are like, oh my goodness, she's amazing. I love her content. But when it's live, you just never know what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, I remember my mum, she comes flying through the door and she shouts out, just to let you know, I've washed your laundry and I've put your underwear on your bed. Oh my goodness. I wanted the ground to swallow me up whole. I was like, what do I do? What do I say? Oh my goodness. Like, I want to disappear right now. But the funny thing is, all of a sudden, the comments that were coming through on chat, they were saying, oh my goodness, she's hilarious. I need to have her on my podcast. Right? And because of it, I got booked on another 4 podcasts and also got to speak on the host virtual summit. Right? And that wouldn't have happened if this mistake, which was a blessing in disguise, didn't happen. Right? So you just want to put yourself out there, be authentic, right? Be genuine, right? Talk about your topic with passion, because you absolutely love doing what you do. And whatever happens, whatever mistake happens, right, just go with it. Adapt. I'm adapting right now. I'm in a football stadium, right? Doing this talk that I wasn't planning on doing, right? And still making it work, right? And so as business owners, it's just people. Life is life. And so you just got to kind of go with it. The other thing is, you want to make sure that when you do your pitching, right, when you're getting booked on podcasts and you know, okay, this is my audience, these are the types of podcasts I want to get on, right? The pitch is one of the things that people have challenges with. And so a lot of people make the mistake of just copy and pasting the same thing and sending it out to the podcast host. Guess what, guys? The host knows. They know. They know it's just a copy and paste. And when podcasters get these applications, they're just skimming through it because they're getting hundreds, maybe even thousands sent to them every single day. And so when you're getting on podcasts, yeah, you want visibility, but guess what? You also want to stand out. And the first way of making yourself stand out to the host is making sure when you do the pitch that you approach them the right way. And the best way to do this is listen to a couple of their episodes. Right? First, listen to a couple of their episodes, and don't tell them that you listened to a couple of episodes when you haven't. Right? They'll be able to see right through that. In fact, I remember when I was first launching my podcast, right? Not a single episode has been released. I was just marketing and promoting and letting people know that it's coming soon. And someone sent me, I think it was an email. Oh, I love your podcast. So many golden nuggets. It's freaking awesome. I love the guests that you're bringing on. And I'm like, but not a single episode has gone out. And so, my cheeky self, I like to challenge people, right? Like most podcasters and people do, right? So I sent him a reply back and I said, oh, which episode did you like and what were your key takeaways? Guess what? To this day, I never got a reply, right? And so you don't want to get caught out. The whole thing about getting on podcasting as a guest is also building a relationship with the host. because the host isn't just a podcaster. Most likely they're business owners or have other projects going on as well. And so you want to build up that relationship with them, because you never know where it's going to take you, what opportunities are going to come out. And if you make the bad impression from the get-go, there's not even going to be any room or space for you to have that conversation and build that relationship if you already lied to them from the get-go. Okay, so be honest, right? Go ahead and listen to a couple of their episodes and actually let them know which episodes you've listened to and what key takeaways you got from it. And in fact, because I'm huge with AI, right? And Carol, I'm going to need your help with this because I'm doing everything on the phone at the moment and cannot type at the same time, right? We actually, and I was going to do this demonstration for all of you guys as well, but not being able to do that either. But I've got something for all of you, right? It's going to make things a lot easier to actually get booked on podcasts. And we created an entire AI system, right, to help you get booked on podcasts. And the reason why we've done this is because there's actually, and this is going to be shocking, 70% of pitches that are sent get rejected. That's a high number of rejections, right? But why? Why do they get rejected? What we need to know. And there's three main reasons, okay? The first reason is what we already discussed, the lack of personalization, right? You don't want to do the copy and paste. You want to personalize it, let them know which episode you listened to and what key takeaways you got from it. Number two is that they're not actually looking for any guests. They already have a huge waiting list and loads of applications that have already come forward. Okay. And the third one is that, well, they're actually shutting down their podcast, or because they switch branding or they switch what they're doing, that there's no room for you anymore. Okay, and that happens a lot, and that's a whole different topic. It's called pod fade, right? In the industry, it's called pod fade, and the reason why that happens is because people haven't got the right intentions to why they actually wanted to build out the podcast to begin with. That's a whole other different topic, and if you want to learn more about that, I can give you details about that on a different platform in my community, which I'll give you all the details about later on. But there's ways to combat the reasons why podcasters actually reject your pitch. And we want to make it as easy as possible. So what we have done is created an entire AI platform that does this for you. Okay. Now what it does, right, and I love this, is little magic. And we had to program her the right way because in the beginning she had a little attitude on her. Right, like you write her a question and she tell you to wait because she's thinking. So we had to really, right? Yeah, Carol, right? You're laughing, but and I was like, where did this attitude come from, right? And so we've had to do a lot of work and program her, and she's still a little sassy, right? But not so much attitude. And so what it does, it asks for your bio. Carol, that's scary. I know, right? It really is. It asks for your bio, and then it will also ask you, okay, which podcast do you want to pitch to? And so you give it the name and the URL. And the reason why you give it the URL is because the AI system actually reads the different podcasts that it's already released, the podcast description, finds out what the podcast is all about, and also reads your bio and then matches them up. Okay, it matches them up to make sure that it's captured your expertise and how you can pitch to the podcast, the best way as to what they do. And it actually creates the topic titles and descriptions for you. Okay, once it's done that, it's actually going to create the entire pitch. Okay, it creates the entire pitch, but remember, guys, it is an AI system. Right, so you don't just want to copy and paste that. Any AI system that you use, you want to make sure you humanize it, right? You personalize it even more. And so you may want to kind of tweak the way it signs off. You may want to tweak some of the titles and the description and the wording and making sure that it's your voice. And also, like I mentioned earlier, you may also want to add which episodes you've listened to. Okay? I would advise you to do that and then send it off. And I can guarantee you that you're going to get more yeses than nos because you have made sure that it fits both your expertise and the podcast and made it about them and their audience and not just about yourself. Okay? You don't ever want to make it just about yourself. Remember, I said it's about building those relationships. Okay? So you want to make it about them. The law of reciprocity. I say this word and I shouldn't because I can't say it properly. The law of reciprocity. I think that's it. That's as close as we're going to get, guys. Okay? But you do good for others and it's going to come back for you as well. Okay? In tenfold. And so once you actually get on these podcasts and you give it your all, right? You give it this amazing content, right? One thing that people fail to do is after the recording's done, actually ask the host, how do you think that went? Ask them for feedback, right? Most of the time they're going to say, oh my goodness, Lisa, that was amazing, right? Like you blew my mind. And when they do, guess what happens? It opens a door of opportunity where you can ask them, oh, are there any other podcasters that you know that I would be a good fit to be a guest on? Oh my goodness, what have you done there? You just first of all made less work for yourself by asking for podcast referrals, okay? And because the host said that you're freaking amazing, they can't say no to you anymore, okay? And remember that podcasters know other podcasters, right? They're going to be in that industry. They're going to know so many others, right? So allow them to give you referrals. But the only way they're going to know to give you referrals is by asking them, okay? Also, if you're first starting out and you're not very confident, right? Again, it's still not a bad thing to ask them for feedback and ask them, how do you think I could make this even better? Even if they've told you, like, you're a 10 out of 10. Okay, but I want to be 15 out of 10, right? How can I make things better, right? And take their feedback on board. Now, what this is going to do is not only going to help you how to better yourself, but the podcast is going to be shocked. They're going to be shocked. Why? No one asked them this question, right? And the fact that you care enough for their opinion, right? It's going to show a lot about you as a person, okay? And so ask them for feedback, right? Take it on board. Not only that, okay? Make sure that you follow up with them. Continue building that relationship. Just because you've done the recording, right? Don't just forget about them. But even if it means to do another call with them, a follow-up call, after you've done your recording, right? Get on another call with them to find out what other projects they're actually involved in, right? How you can be of service. And if they aren't directly linked to you in any way and there's no way you can help them, maybe there's someone in your network that can do a referral. If they're referring you to other podcasters, then do a referral for them too. Okay, but it's all about building the relationship, building the network, and making sure that you're building your network as well. Okay, because again, you don't know what other opportunities are going to come your way. And if you stay in contact with all these podcasters, right, that you've built relationships with, when they do eventually do that summit, or when they do eventually come across that perfect client for you, they'll have you in the front of mind, right? And send you those referrals. When you get in on podcasts as a guest, it's not just about getting clients. It's also looking at how can I collaborate? How can I have a partnership with this person? Go with intention, right? But the first intention should be building that relationship with them. Okay, because sometimes you might even find oh, okay, I had this intention of collaborating with this person because you did your research and looked at social media and they did and said all the right things. But once you got in person with them, you're like, oh, maybe not. Right? And if you feel that's okay. Okay, but you can make that decision. Remember, you're in control. You can make that decision as to how you want to move forward with this. But just be genuine, build up that connection, and make sure you put your right foot forward first, the right way. Okay, and then continue doing the same things over and over again. I guarantee you're going to build your network of full of right people, and more opportunities and doors will open if you do this the right way. But you got to do this the right way, and you got to get on podcasts as guests. That's the first step. Once you're ready and you've done a few of this, you may then later on think, I want to start my own podcast. But I always say to people that say to me, I want to start my own podcast. I'm like, okay, how many podcasts have you gone on as a guest? A lot of them say to me, not one. Say, okay, start off as getting on guests first on these podcasts and learning the different processes, the different systems. Because what's going to happen is you might turn around and be like, oh my goodness, no, I see all the work that the podcasters are doing. I don't want to do that. I just want to stick to guesting. And that's fine too. Or it might be, do you know what? I'm ready for the next level and I want to start my own podcast and launch that. Right? Let's maybe look into that. But start guesting first before you launch your own podcast, because I don't want you to go through pod fade like a lot of people do. Okay? A lot of podcasts get shut down, right? Because they've not realized how much work has gone into it or why they're even doing it, what their intention is. A lot of people say to me, your podcast, right? You speak more about AI and business strategies and have people coming on and you interview most of them, because a lot of them aren't solo, they're interviewed, right? But the reason for that is because when I first started, my intention was to build my network. Right? It's completely different to you starting a podcast because you want to bring leads and clients in. Right? So understand why you want to build a podcast if that's the route you're going down. Okay. And so if you are guesting and you want to get booked on more podcasts and you want access to the AI system that I mentioned earlier, then if you go to getbookedonpodcast.com, then go ahead and on there you'll have details as to what you should do before, during, and after your podcast guesting, and also it's going to give you instructions on to how to actually get access to that AI platform. That's all. Thank you, guys.
Hey, sorry, Kay, was that podcast.com?
Getbookedonpodcast.com.
Let me just type that in the chat.
No worries, thank you.
Right.
Christy, I can see Christy, Bit Queens. Oh my god. So I'm at this festival right now and it's all bees. Right? The logo is bees and the host calls herself the Queen Bee. Like something's going on with bees and queens and crowns and all sorts.
Yes, Christy is the one I said you two should connect on tokenization, blockchain, and the like.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, Christy, we'll have to have a conversation at some point for sure.
Right. How much longer do you think you're going to be before they kick you out of the stadium?
I would say another 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay, I am going to do something that I don't normally do, but because your time is limited, I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A just for Kay right now, and then we'll go back to the usual format, which is after all our speakers have spoken. So if anybody has any questions for Kay right now, now is your opportunity to speak. Or forever hold your peace, unless you connect with her on LinkedIn or Facebook.
I have a question.
Don't be shy.
I have one.
Hey, Lisa. Go for
Hi,
it.
how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. I'm
Yeah.
doing good. How are
Yeah.
you?
Oh, great presentation. Really good.
Oh,
Really,
thank
really good. I
you.
took a lot of notes. So what would you say are some of the biggest challenges you've experienced in creating your business and how you overcame them.
I guess the biggest thing was hiring the team that I have right now. And so I had to go through a lot of different people until I found the right people for the team. But I guess the reason why I was going through that was because didn't know what I was looking for. I just wanted it to get done. Right? And so when you're not sure, you don't know the specifics of what that role consists of and what you want them to do entirely, right? You're going to start hiring people just because they said yes, they want to work with you, rather than making sure that they're a good fit. And so making sure that you've got your intentions right, you understand what your values are, your missions are as a company, as a business, and making sure when you go out looking for people that they fit that particular role and they're aligned to what your mission and vision is as well.
Great. Great. Thank you. That's great advice.
No worries. Thank you. Anyway, this is where everyone goes quiet, right? I always find that. I'm not going to bite, guys, I promise you.
Maria, thank you for posting Kay's LinkedIn link. Very helpful. Thank you. Christy, any questions? Not putting you on the spot or anything.
You can unpin me now, Carol.
Oh, yes. Remove spotlight. Thank you. Now I've been dabbling with AI in terms of the last few postings announcing this event, getting it to rewrite.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's always helpful.
Chat GPT. I keep it running. Yes. First time using it.
Oh, no way.
Way.
Oh my God, are you loving it?
It is. It's the speed at which it comes back with an alternative. It's mind-boggling.
It is.
Literally, as soon as you press return, it starts churning out alternative text for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it is good. And I think one of the main things that people need to understand with AI is understanding the commands that you give it, right? The commands have to be right. They're going to be on point in order for it to spit out the right information that you're actually looking for.
Yeah.
And that's with any AI platform. But once you got that, oh my goodness, it's fun. Like you can go down the rabbit hole with AI platforms. I spent a whole day with it.
Oh my goodness. Yes, just feeling my way. Yes.
All good.
That's
I'm glad you
awesome.
got started with that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
AI isn't going to go anywhere, right? Tech isn't going to go anywhere. It's only going to evolve even further. I mean, look what's happened with podcasting. Before the pandemic, hardly anyone knew about it, right? And so if we don't jump on the bandwagon and embrace technology, it's just going to get left behind. We don't want that. Especially if we're...
I was going to say there are some scary aspects. Who controls who?
Well, the thing is, you can stay in fear or you can embrace it, right? And that's with anything in life.
Yeah.
And anything that changes. We've got to keep stepping out of our comfort zone because the world is going to change and we've got to change with it. Right?
Yes.
So we've got to make the choice. What do we want to do?
Awesome. Alrighty. Thank you. Thank you, Kay.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, it was amazing to be here.
Oh, I didn't know. Christy has her hand raised. Almost missed it, Christy. Go ahead.
Hello, Carol. Hello,
Hi,
Kay.
warm welcome.
Hey, Christy.
I would say this was an interesting conversation. I was listening in the background and I must say I got great value. And yes, I agree with you. Podcasting does help you explore the opportunities of connecting with more audience, more people, especially if you want to know more about the service or what value you are providing, or you want to create more awareness about a particular subject matter, and it's something I've been trying to wrap my head around to see if I could use that to promote what we do at Bitcoin. And I must say, I got a ton of value today listening to you. And it feels very nice to know that podcast just, it's more like having a normal conversation. It just allows you flow, with the conversation. There are no pressures at all. You just do your thing and be real and, genuine about it. So I would love to learn more on how I can take advantage of podcasting to create more awareness of, on what we do here at Bitcoin, because it's a community for women who are learning about emerging technologies like blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, and all that to empower themselves in this time and age. So I just want to say that I enjoyed the conversation, and I would like to learn more on how to use podcasting to create more awareness for what we do here at Bitcoin. Thank you, Kay.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you're talking about Bitcoin, and the whole kind of the Web3 side of things that a lot of people aren't really talking about, but the awareness needs to definitely go out there because that's just going to get bigger as well, right? And so we can definitely jump on a call. And in fact, my hands are tied at the moment, but you can find me on LinkedIn, send me a message, and we should arrange a time to jump on a call to talk more about podcasting because I can talk all day about podcasting. And unfortunately, Carol says that we can't do that right now, right? I'll be in trouble otherwise, right? So if you just reach out to me, I'll be happy to jump on a call and we can talk further about this. But what you're doing with crypto, NFTs, and all that good stuff, yes, I agree. The word needs to get out.
Yes, it's awesome what Christy's doing. Awesome. All right. And Kay, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. And guys, good luck with your speeches, but I know you're gonna throw it out of the water. You guys are awesome. That's why you're here. And I hope to connect with all of you soon. Take care, guys.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Right. So on to our next speaker for the evening, who is Maria Delores. Maria is the founder of the Human Contract, boasting 25 years of experience in human resources and leadership. She was honored as the Ambassador for World Peace Awardee in 2023 and is a published author. In 2023, Maria delivered numerous keynote speeches about the Human Contract Foundation, including engagements at prestigious venues such as the House of Commons, House of Lords, and as a keynote speaker at the World Peace Conference in Stockholm. Maria is currently immersed in writing her next book, focusing on the human contract, Istima, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, Istima, and human spectra theory.
Yeah.
Intriguing, Maria. Over to you.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here and to join you today. Yes, I'm the founder of the Human Contract Foundation. The Human Contract is about our human rights and our human responsibilities, that we are born with our rights and we mature in our human responsibilities. It's based on United Nations Declaration of the Universal Human Rights. Simon Sinek, he says that we should start with a why. So I'll start with my why to begin with, and then the foundation's why. Like you said, so I've been working with leadership, but in 2013, I divorced my husband. And his grief came out in a very destructive way. Very destructive. At one point, I was sitting at a cafe, and my friend was staring at me because I had a red laser dot in my forehead. So it was really, really scary. And what we didn't know at that time was that he also developed a brain tumor, of which he died in 2015. So then in 2015, I published this book, and that is called A State of Grace, Human Rights and Human Obligations. Like I said, it gave me a glimpse of what many millions of people are experiencing today, being followed, women who are women and men in different destructive relationships who are really scared. People are fleeing from their country or fleeing from circumstances. So that's my why, because I believe that we really can change the world and we can do it together. But it's to acknowledge both our rights and responsibilities. The why for the organization starts a little bit more back. So if you perceive our human history as building blocks, so we have the building block running 300,000 years in our human history, where we started our human history, and then on top of that block that runs at least 5,000 years is religion and the religious platforms that we are standing on. And on top of that is the justice system, and then the political system. And on top of that, that was formed also in the 1800s, was the media, and the media's role to audit the religious system, the justice system, the political system, and to stand on the citizen side. Now, today, as so many times in our human history, we have technology supporting and driving us to the next level. So these building blocks and how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive one another. So with these building blocks and AI, as we talked about before, and how we, as of today, an obvious example, I'm sitting here in Stockholm and we have people joining us from all over the world. We are really going, with the help of technology, to a global, local world. So it's really this transformation that we are making, and it starts now. And so you mentioned before the istima. Istima is it's from a fictive language, and instead of calling it crisis or something dramatic, istima is what I see the process of development. And it's both my personal development, identities that I have with myself, and when things happen that is shaking our perspective of who we think we are, and we are so much more. In psychology, they call it to go into a fear tunnel, right? And you can also look at it going from one level of consciousness and you shift consciousness, or you go from one perspective, which is more academic world, and you don't go from here and just go to broaden perspective. You go from one perspective and you dive into more fear, anger, frustration, and then you come to that breaking point, and then you shift, broadening perspective. So it's a learning path. And the point of istima is that we as a humanity, going back to our building blocks, as a humanity, we're right now facing and going through this nation-centric world, and going to this global, local world. And with this shift and the fear of technology, the fear of what's going on and who am I, and the difficulties we have as a humanity on individual level, interpersonal levels, and globally as a humanity. So the human contract is the support for this shift. It's a very, very thin framework, but it's just stating that we have birthrights and we mature in our responsibilities. So to mature is to go through this istima process, to broaden perspective, to lessen the drama, because peace in the world really starts from within. So what is the human contract? What are these 7 promises that the human contract is stating? And the promises is your promises to yourself and to the world. So it's not a legal contract, it's a contract that you make with yourself, by yourself, and for humanity. So these 7 promises, the first 3 is personal: body, emotion, and thoughts. It's addressing our most pressing issues of physical and mental health, and that the change, again, it starts from within all of us. We have the right to our body, and we have a responsibility for our body. We have the right to our thoughts and to our emotion, but we also have a responsibility to mature in our emotions, to mature in our thoughts. And it's a process. So we have the right to all our emotions. We have the right to our hate. We have the right to our anger, our frustration, our grief. But we also have a responsibility to mature and to face and to go through. So those are the first 3 promises of the human contract: body, emotion, and thought. The coming 3 is interpersonal. It's how we act and how we interact with one another in humanity and in relationships, in families, in workplaces. It's about power, that you have the right to your personal power, and you have the freedom also in your movement, and a responsibility in your movement and how you act and how you interact with one another. So that's the 4th. And the 5th is about communication, that we do have and we should have. We should be born with the freedom of speech and the freedom of creativity and our expression, but also a responsibility that comes back to dignity, to respect ourselves, and to stay in communication. I'm very sad sometimes to give the example of that. Some months ago here in Sweden, we had people burning religious books. And then they would just step back to say, oh, we have the freedom of speech. Yes, we do have, and we should have the freedom of speech, but we also have and should have a responsibility in what we say, what we create. So if we are burning books and that creates a commotion, you need to stay in communication. You need to stay in listening, because if you only claim your freedom of speech at the cost of others, and just to sort of poke that bear, and just to diminish others, then you should really reconsider your freedom of speech, because it's a balance, and to listen. We have the freedom of communication. So communication is the 5th, and the 6th out of the 7 is life. You have the right to your life. You have the right to live with whomever, wherever, and however you like, but not at the cost of any other. So to stand up for every human's right to live how we like to live, but also that we need to collaborate and we need to work fearlessly to end child marriage, to end forced marriages, to end human trafficking and slavery. So that's the 6th promise, which ties to the 7th promise, which is about our unity as a humanity, that we need to unite as a humanity, and together we can make a change. I'm thinking of in Berlin, 1989, how people just united and just tore down the wall. And showing that just not only one person, but together we can make a difference. So that's the human contract. And we're working long term. So that's why we're creating this foundation, the Human Contract Foundation, and starting now and working for the coming 100 years in this isthma, in this shift that we are in as a humanity. And peace in the world really starts from within. So it's about how we take care of ourselves, our relationships, and then to unite as a humanity. Thank you. I do have some time for questions also. Carol, you're muted.
I'm
Yes.
on mute. I'm on mute. Lisa, go for it.
Yes.
Oh, Carol, you go ahead first. You had a question.
No. Carry on.
Okay. Thank you for that presentation, Maria. That was great. And you're right. The world is in such a state of hurt that it's hard to know what to do. It's easy to get despondent, that it's just so overwhelming, and just throw your hands up because you feel like your small little change you'd want to make is not going to help. But you're right. If we're still going to be walking around on this earth, peace coming from within, that does radiate out to people, even if we're not even saying anything. It's the consciousness that you're putting out there. So what I'd like to ask is, since you have really embarked on this work, what kind of shift have you seen in the circles that you're in? And Carol mentioned that you had been, I didn't catch all of it, but you spoke at some World Council or something. So maybe if you can share with us what kind of shifts and changes you've seen in your work.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What shifts? Well, like I said, peace in the world comes from within. So it really starts with my team in the Human Contract. It starts with how we treat each other, and I have such a great team. They're very, very mature and aware. And it's really that ripple effect. When I was a keynote speaker at the World Peace Conference, I received the Ambassador for World Peace Award 2023. And it was because of what I talked about, what the human contract is, and to bring hope, and that the World Peace Conference was, it was interreligious. So I was speaking in front of all these different religious leaders, and they all, I feel so blessed. They all blessed me because it's something that is resonating within all religions, and the human contract is just about life here and now. So it's not about previous lives, it's not about past lives, it's about how we are actually living. It's about leadership, how we're actually living our life, and with dignity, and to be humble about that we mature every day. So I don't really know how to answer the question, but yeah.
That's awesome. Did that answer it for you, Lisa?
Yes, that was great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
It's about living it, basically. It's about living it, and to take accountability, and that it's a long-term work. So we're starting now.
Yeah, definitely peace is underrated, because yeah, and we can all, because we're human, we can all get angry, but it's not staying in that anger.
Right. Yeah.
So I just love what you have to share, Maria, and the work that you are doing. Keep me posted. Definitely keep me posted.
I will.
That will be wonderful.
And I also put my LinkedIn in the
Yes, please put all your links in the chat.
Yes. So you can just reach out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Well, it's the turn of Lisa Allman Baldwin. Lisa, welcome again. And
Thank you.
let me just give an insight into who Lisa Allman Baldwin is and what she does. So, Lisa Allman Baldwin is a dynamic, gifted, sought-after speaker, workshop facilitator, and writer who delivers valuable and effective leadership and self-empowerment tools for authentic and purposeful living. Widely recognized for her powerful, engaging, and authentic messages delivered with the highest integrity and professionalism, Lisa possesses a unique ability to engage. Sorry, I've just got to let someone in. To engage and connect with both in-person and virtual audiences through personal experiences delivered with unapologetic honesty and truth. Love it. In turn, empowering those around her to do the same. Lisa is a frequent guest of the media, inspiring others through her energizing spirit of adventure and personal stories, aptly demonstrating how to recognize, examine, and rewrite the often limiting victim stories of the human experience. She demonstrates how to move from the quicksand of adversity into a new paradigm of thinking and being. You can learn more about Lisa on her website, authenticityandpurpose.com. But I know Lisa will put all that in the chat for us to pick up. So let me remove the spotlight from me, and Lisa, I turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Carol. I think you're the best host ever, so I really appreciate that. So the presentation I wanted to make today, I titled it "Rediscovering the Essence of You," the essence of you. So I'd kind of like to start out with a few definitions for the words discover and essence. So if you were to look in the dictionary, the definition of discover, you would find to find something or someone in the course of a search, and also to learn something new or become aware of something. And for essence, you would find the part of something that is central to its existence and character, and a property or group of properties of something without which it would not exist or be what it is. So if you put those two definitions together, you have rediscovering the essence of you for this talk. So together they are finding or becoming aware of the part of us that is central to the core of our existence. Let me say that again. Finding or becoming aware of the part of us that is central to the core of our existence. The only problem is most of us don't know what our essence really is. So I wanted to delve into this with a little story, and the central character in our story is going to be a boat. So way back, there was an idea, a concept someone came up with to create a sailing vessel. And to construct it, they chose the wood or the metal, they chose the nails, they chose the screws. Maybe it has a sail, maybe it has a motor, navigation elements, and so on. And each of those things had a function, but it wasn't until you put them all together that they had a purpose. And the purpose was to sail, to glide across the water and take people and things to different destinations. And this particular vessel was animated like a person, like we are. And it was welcomed with open arms, and it relished in how people admired it, and it loved how brightly its body shone in the sun, and it was so proud of how it looked. And it sailed along just fine, moving from one port to the next as time wore on. But along its journey, there were times when things happened that were out of the boat's control. So one time, another boat that was a little bit bigger came by a little bit too close, and it created a wake. So it jostled the smaller boat about a bit, but nothing harmful, didn't move it off center. Soon the water leveled out again, and the boat was on its way. During another sojourn, when the boat was much older, a storm came, bringing with it strong winds and rain, and it did some damage to the boat. The sails ripped a little bit. There were some scratches and dings that appeared, and its once brilliant paint job started to fade. But after a little time spent in the marine repair shop, the boat was ready to hit the open water again. Smooth sailing was on the horizon. Then one day, the boat hit some rocks that were submerged beneath the surface, and it tore a hole in the hull. It took on way too much water, and it sank to the bottom of the body of the water where it was sailing. And there it lay, alone, in pieces, a shell of its former self. The boat's essence, the parts that were central to its existence and the purpose for what it's created, were lost. Sort of, but only because it was holding on to its former self, how it used to look, how it used to feel, how it used to appear to other people. And since the boat was holding on to that old story, it was unsure what to do next or how to pull itself together. Does any of this story sound like your story? Can anyone relate? We're all kind of doing the same thing in some ways. We say to ourselves, I used to be young, I used to be thin, I used to be pretty, I didn't have platinum hair yet, gravity hadn't taken a hold, pulling things south, right? I used to be married, or I was in a partnership. I was a hands-on parent, or a daughter, or a son. I used to be respected for who I was and what I had accomplished. But now that some of those things are changed, or some of them are gone altogether, we feel like we're not seen anymore, like our value and worth has diminished. So some people have heard my story. Carol has certainly heard some of it, how several years ago, after a series of setbacks that happened within a short period of time, I went from being a confident, outgoing woman that no one would have ever suspected was anything other than happy, content, life was going great, to contemplating a permanent exit strategy from this life experience. Like the boat, I came into the world as a beautiful, joyful, bright light that was so happy to be here. I was fed and I was clothed and I was bathed and I was held, and people oohed and awed all over me. Life was simply wonderful. But as I was growing up, things started to change, and the external messages I was getting from the people around me weren't quite as rosy as they were before. And just being myself became a challenge. It seemed like everywhere I looked, I was being battered by something else. And all of those things that happened to me in a short period of time, all of a sudden hit me like a torpedo, blowing me to pieces. And there I lay, my essence seemingly lost, and I didn't even want to try and pull myself together. I just wanted to be done with it. Luckily, I didn't do it, and I'm still here to talk about it. What the boat needs, what I needed, what you might need, which is central to rediscovering the essence of you, is leaving behind a life dictated by what others tell you about yourself. And leaving behind, I used to be, or I used to have types of statements and thinking. We need to really listen to what we're saying about ourselves. Shipwrecks are like the troubling things that happen in our life. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. If we're open and willing, we can work through our challenges to discover the treasure buried within, those gems and jewels that we all have. So here are some actionable and gentle steps you can take every day to discover those hidden gems and jewels, the real essence of you. Number one, take some time to sit in the silence. Take some time to sit in the silence. Our brains are on the go, moving all the time. And that monkey mind, they say, blocks the way for any kind of clear thinking. We get so caught up in trying to come up with just the right thing to do or making sure that we don't screw anything up, that we're not even listening to our inner guidance or listening to what our heart wants to express. So take some time to sit in the silence. Number 2, think about how you would want to feel most of the time. Think about how you would want to feel most of the time. Instead of saddling up to those old stories that have us jumping up and down and like we're sitting on a bucking bronco or something, come up with some words or phrases of how you would want to feel throughout the day. Your words might be blissful or accomplished or peaceful or steadfast. I have a friend that her word is juicy. That's her word a lot of times, juicy. Relaxed, stress-free, anything that would help you flow through your day a little more. And don't just think about those words and phrases, but write them down so you can look at them often throughout the day. Number 3, reconnect often with what makes your heart sing. Reconnect often with what makes your heart sing. Think about the things that bring you joy. Is it getting out in nature? Is it listening to some music? Is it painting? It might be baking, might be sitting on the couch in your sweatpants having a hot drink. Whatever it is, tap into what really brings you joy, speaks to you, and lifts your spirits. Number 4, take note of the positive things that other people repeatedly say about you. Take note of the positive things that other people repeatedly say about you. And I don't mean, I like what you're wearing, or your hair looks really great. Things that are not necessarily attributed to what you have or how you look. I'm talking about people who comment on your great energy, or that you're so outgoing, or that you're friendly, or you're so compassionate and gentle with other people. Anything that you hear over and over and over, and maybe you brush it off like it's not true, or that like it's nothing, those are the things that other people see in you. Those are the positive vibrations that you are putting out into the world, even if subconsciously. And that is really part of your divine essence. Number 5, create I am affirmations. Create I am affirmations. And this goes back to what I said about taking note of the positive things that other people say about you. We are all so many wonderful things, so we should affirm it and say it. I am beautiful. I am smart. I am resilient. I am steadfast. I am learning. I am growing. I am accepted. I am joy. I am love. By changing your focus from the past, from that old story, or even from the future, just to the present moment, it helps you more easily stand firm in the knowing of who you are right here and right now. So use I am fill in the blank. And number 6, own your personal power. Own your personal power. Remember that throughout your life, you have always been growing and changing and learning, all of that on the way to becoming the person that you are today. Now, sure, there have been some successes and there have been setbacks, but together they are defining the essence of you, who you are meant to be at any particular time. Now, just to be clear, knowing and becoming who you are is not always a leisurely walk in the park. Pivoting when things happen, righting yourself, and setting out again to connect with your purpose does take some work. But just letting go of those old stories and versions of yourself that aren't serving you any longer. If you keep practicing these 6 steps over time, I guarantee you will start to feel like life is flowing along a lot more smoothly. And before you know it, you will have built up much more resilience for those storms of life that are going to come through again, because they always do. Just like the creator of the boat, Spirit, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, created all of us with the essential parts we would need to navigate through this human experience. We just need to be willing and able to love ourselves unconditionally, warts and all. We need to step up to the plate and fully embrace who we are at any point in our life. And we need to stop allowing others to dictate who we should be, how we should show up in this world, what we should believe in, all of those things that the outside society is always trying to make us do. The answer to who am I may change over time, and that's okay. But you want to remember that your life is a journey and not a destination. We are on a perpetual voyage of self-discovery. And that bright light, that spark that still somehow manages to show up even when there's a lot of darkness, that is the light that will show us the way. Finding or becoming aware of the part of us that is central to the core of our existence, that earlier definition. Know that no matter what happens in your life, you are enough. In fact, more than enough, just the way you are. So shine it, own it, share it. And when the waves of life come along, allow yourself the time needed to navigate them the best you can, rise up back to the surface, and keep on sailing. Thank you very much.
No, you can't have finished already.
I wanted to leave enough time for questions.
Oh my goodness, I was so going with it. Oh my word. I know Maria has to leave soon. Maria, do you have any questions?
Not really a question. It's just how we perceive. When I talked about isthma, facing and going through difficulties, that's partly from my own difficulties and to, like I said, to mature as a woman. But it's also in relationships and what I saw in organization. It's the same pattern. And also, with human resources, helping people facing and going through addiction and death. And so it was such a beautiful speech that you had. I really, really appreciate it deeply. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll put my
awesome.
information in the chat too while anyone else has questions.
Yeah. Any other questions? Let me just remove.
Let me put that in the chat here.
Yeah. And while you're typing, Lisa,
There we go.
I totally resonate. Own who you are. Absolutely. If we don't, who are we pretending to be?
Yes, exactly. Who are we pretending to be? Exactly.
Yeah, we are unique. We are not carbon copies of anyone else.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why the phrase says, be yourself because everyone else is taken.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, I own who I am, and I also acknowledge whose I am as a woman of faith, whose I am as well, my creator. So yes, thank you. So as I mentioned, Lisa, I could have just listened to you, and it's like you finished way too early.
Well, I could go on and on and on, but that's the thing I'm working on.
Yeah. No, please do connect with Maria and Lisa and Kay. Kay's details are in the chat, Lisa's in the chat, as well as Maria's. We have had an amazing opportunity to hear from women and their experiences, their knowledge and their wisdom. There's a saying, no one of us knows more than all of us. Shared learning is so important. And I really want to say thank you, Maria, Lisa, Kay, when you're watching the recording. And we did have the fourth speaker, Dr. Barnsley Brown, but unfortunately she's not here with us.
Thank you.
So yeah. But thank you for joining. If there are no more questions, thank you for joining us. I've put the Kashulia UK YouTube channel in the chat. It didn't come out as an interactive link. Yes, it didn't come up as an interactive link, but you can copy it and paste it in your browser. Kashulia UK, youtube.com, Kashulia @Kashulia UK. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed being with us this evening. Jill, thank you for joining us. You weren't sure whether you'd be able to make it. Sharon, thank you for joining us also. Hi, Jill. Lovely to have you here. Maz, wonderful to see you. Well, I say see you again, but see your name again. And Olufunke, thank you. I know you were traveling and you probably still are traveling, but thank you for listening in.
Thank you for
It
having
means a lot.
me here.
Oh, wonderful. Ah, there you are. There you were. Oh,
It
wonderful.
was a great night. I enjoyed listening to every message delivered tonight. Very encouraging. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, I will wrap things up here. And I look forward to the next event that we have, which will be our mixed event, 2 male and 2 female speakers. This is the officially last Women Empowerment event. However, on our next event, the first Thursday of the month, will predominantly be mixed, 2 male and 2 female speakers. Where we are short of male speakers, it will run as an all-female audience and speaker. So for all the females, I'm booked up right till October. The males are booked up till May, June. So yes. So with that,
Is it at the same time as this one?
yes, 7 till 9 UK time. We
Okay.
do have a clock change on the 31st of March here in the UK, where we spring 1 hour forward. So yes, wonderful. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your evening, afternoon, in your case, Lisa. Enjoy the rest of your day. All right, take care and bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You're my sweetest addiction. You're my strongest